Hi everybody, it's Chef Kathryn here, and I'm so excited to be live with you tonight for my home kitchen. We're going to be doing a demo on how to make some delicious and healthy stuffed mushroom appetizers, so it should be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing these live cooking demos every other Monday night as a new series with Bella Vista Farm, and big thanks to Bella Vista Farm LLC for having me out. I'm really glad to be partnering with them in this journey. With natural food as our future. We stand together in that, and we're really excited to be offering these videos for you. So as we go, if you have any questions that you want to ask of me, please just type them in the comments. I'll be paying attention, and if there's things that you like, send me some love too. So we'll get started. So we're going to make stuffed mushrooms. I'm going to be working with these cremini mushrooms tonight. They're organic, always fun to have healthy options in that way. I'm going to start by taking the stems off the mushrooms, so you want to leave the caps open like so. And we'll do that with a few of these. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the caps and we're going to use them to stuff the mushrooms, sauteed with some onions and garlic. And then we're going to take the tops of the mushrooms and use that as the base for this appetizer. And what I love about this dish is that it's really easy to make. It's very savory and satisfying, and it's a really fun thing to bring to parties. People always love it. It's rich, it's yummy, using good, fresh, natural produce and all of that stuff. So once you have your mushrooms like so, where you're going to have just the bases off and the caps, you're going to take those caps and we're going to put them in a Pyrex tray. I'm going to just lay them out with the tops down in the tray. And then we're going to use some organic red wine. You can use any red wine that you like. And we're going to just pour a little bit of that into the bottom of the tray, and I'll show you how to do that. And what that does is just to keep the mushrooms really moist. It also brings some really nice flavor to them as they start to roast. So just some, like I said, organic red wine. Red wine is the best for these. It brings kind of a nice, deep, dark flavor to these, which makes it extra delicious. So I'm just pouring that wine into the tray with the mushrooms, getting a little bit into the caps themselves, and let me show you so you can see it. So you can see we have our white wine, our mushroom caps, everything's ready to go there. I'm going to pop these in the oven. We're just going to let them soften up in there. I have the oven set for 350 degrees, so that should be perfect. Next we're going to work on chopping some onion. So I have my onion here. You want to dice this nice and fine. This onion is going to be used to fill the mushrooms. So if you have small mushrooms, there's not going to be a ton of filling in them, but lots of flavor. So I'm just going to start chopping that. Let me see if I can give you a little visual of our cutting board here. Back up. It doesn't look like it'll fit in the screen, but I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm just going to chop those onions nice and fine, like I said, mince them up. And if you're just joining us, I'm showing how to make some stuffed mushrooms. A great appetizer for all of your dinner parties and other special events. So getting our onion going nice and fine chopped. Onions are great, obviously, for nice flavor. It brings kind of a caramelization to your dish. Really nice to work with. It's very traditional. Can't go wrong with onions sauteed in butter. Always a good choice. Alright, so we have our onion diced nice and fine like that now, ready to go. We're going to put that in a cast iron skillet that I have right here, all set up. And then we're going to add some minced garlic. Garlic is a great food. It brings a lot of detoxification properties. It's great for cleansing the body, and obviously brings a lot of delicious flavor. Almost every Italian dish incorporates it, so very traditional. Lots of fun to work with as well. A favorite. And just as a helpful tip, I don't know if you've tried this before, but when you have a clove of garlic, you take the back of your knife and on your cutting board you press down on it to smash it. It makes it much easier to remove the skin. So simple to work with in that way. Just going to take the skins off. And then once you have your bare garlic cloves with no skins on, I've got 2 of them here. We'll go with 2 for this dish. You can add as much or as little garlic as you like. It depends on your flavor preferences. And then I always like to put mine in a press. Really simple to work with. So you're just going to pop them in there, get ready to squeeze that out, and squeeze it right into that cast iron with those onions there. All set. I also have been growing some rosemary in my balcony. I have a small space, a little condo, but enough room to grow some fresh rosemary, and I love having these herbs available. I'm growing rosemary, sage, thyme, parsley, all that good stuff out there. Fresh herbs are just so fantastic to work with. Obviously, they bring lots of flavor, lots of depth. If you have a space, even a small pot that you can grow them in, always a good idea. So I'm going to take that rosemary, and we're just going to peel it off of its stems like so. So you can see I'm just kind of pulling downward to get the small leaves from the stems. And then once you have a good amount of that, I'm going to dice it up really fine to go into our onion and garlic mixture. So again, if you're just joining us, we're making stuffed mushrooms. We're doing cooking demos every other Monday night on the Bella Vista Farm page. Excited to be bringing some natural healthy options to you via these demos. So you can see now that I have my rosemary diced nice and fine, ready to go. I'll put that in my cast iron as well. And then I am a big fan of cooking with butter. Butter has been used as a fat source and a cooking ingredient for many, many, many years. And I really love it. It's a stable fat, which means that when it's heated to high temperatures, it doesn't change its molecular structure. And the benefit of that is that it makes it easy for our body to recognize butter as a fat and work with it appropriately. So a lot of times we use different vegetable oils and things like that. And when we cook with vegetable oils and heat them to high temperatures, they start to change form. And when that happens, it makes them much harder for our body to process and digest, which is why people start to get kind of this visceral fat stores. But butter, especially butter that's coming from cows raised on grass and open pastures, is a very healthy food source, good for fats and great for regenerating tissues and muscles and things like that. And I have a question here from Colin. He's asking what kind of mushrooms are best to use. You can use any mushrooms you like. You can make these in large form with a big portobello mushroom if you wanted. You could use creminis like we're using here, which are actually small portobello mushrooms, so portobellos that haven't gotten to their full size. You can also use a button mushroom, really any mushroom that you like. I like the creminis because they have kind of that darker flavor, but it's up to you and what's available too. So go with whatever inspires you on that one. So now we have our cast iron. You can see that in our cast iron we have that pat of butter, we've got our minced onion, garlic, and then our rosemary. I'm going to add a little bit of sea salt to this as well. This helps to bring out the flavors in the dish and just brighten it and lift everything a bit. And now I'm going to turn my stove on to medium heat and just let this saute a bit. As that starts to melt down, we're going to chop our mushroom stems as well, and we're actually going to mix those mushroom stems into this filling, like so. So you can see I have my mushroom stems here, ready for dicing. We're going to just chop them up fine. It's always good to have a trusty, sharp knife in the kitchen. If I could recommend any tool, especially for new cooks, get a good knife and get a sharpener so you can sharpen your knife regularly and have a nice edge to work with. It just makes everything so much easier that way. So continue chopping those mushrooms up. I'm starting to smell the amazing mushrooms starting to heat up in the oven. And the goal with baking them first is to get them nice and soft, as well as to get that wine flavor incorporated into them. It just adds a lot of depth to the dish that we're making together here. It's good to use the wine as well because it keeps them moist. The mushrooms will start to dry out a bit if you just put them in the oven by themselves. And if you're not a big fan of cooking with wine, you can also use a vegetable broth to cook them in initially. Typically, depending on the size of the mushrooms, you're going to leave them in about 10 to 15 minutes. And if you have larger mushrooms, it might take a little bit longer for them to get softened. So now we have our mushrooms chopped up nice and fine, really easy to work with. I'm going to put these in our pot as well. And we're just going to let this all saute up really good. You can start to hear it. Hopefully you get a little bit of this sizzle action going on. I love that. It's so much fun always having the foods. It's like they're speaking to us, right? They have their smells. We're totally engaged with this cooking experience right now. Sorry you don't get the smell aspect, but I promise it's delicious. Great, and I see some of you logging on even more now. So if you're just joining us, we're doing a cooking demo tonight. I'm Chef Kathryn. I'm happy to be partnering with Bella Vista Farm. and I'm sharing how to make simple stuffed mushrooms, which are a great appetizer. Okay, so as we go, and this dish really came just out of design. I've always been a fan of mushrooms. I think that they're delicious. They have such a robust flavor, so something that I really enjoy working with. And I find sometimes that finding good, simple appetizers to make at parties can be challenging, especially things that are healthy. You know, I think we go to parties oftentimes and we see big platters of chips and other things, which of course are delicious, but I always like to bring some other options to the party as well to balance that out. So this dish is fun. These are great served at room temperature, or if you make them right before you go, they're really good hot. You can even bring them and then reheat them quickly in the oven once you arrive at the party. So stuff that's really easy and nice to work with like that. Okay, so we're starting to get some good caramelization. You can see here that this is starting to cook down. It's nice and steamy. You can see the steam coming off of it. And you're going to get that nice scent. You want your onions to just get a little bit soft, and they'll be ready to stuff with. So I'm going to let that cook for a few minutes more. And then in the meantime, we're going to use some raw cheese on these. If you're dairy-free, you can use other options in these or go without the cheese, but this cheese is delicious in my opinion. This too is coming from cows that are raised on pasture, so a good cheese option. It's a healthy choice, full of healthy fats. It's also easier to digest for some people because all those great enzymes and bacteria are doing their work already in the cheese. This cheese is also coming from raw milk, so it's not pasteurized, and we're learning more and more that the pasteurization process can sometimes cause the milk, the dairy, to start to break apart, and it's almost like a plasticization that happens. So anytime you can use raw cheese or raw dairy, that's a great option. Especially good for cheeses because the enzymes in the cheese help to work with the raw dairy, so it's a safe choice for you and a nice thing. So with that in mind, I'm just going to cut some thin slices of the cheese here, and we're going to use this cheese to place on top of our stuffed mushrooms to add a little bit of delicious meltiness at the end. So I'm just going to prep that and get that ready to go. Looks like we just had a few more people join us. Hi everybody, thanks for being here. I'm glad to be online with you tonight. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be doing these live cooking demos every other week on Mondays. So just a fun opportunity for you to see how to work with natural foods in creative ways and to get to know me and my kitchen a little better too. So thanks for being here. Okay, so our filling is looking gorgeous. It's getting all cooked down. You can see that it's starting to get nice and brown around the edges. So really beautiful in there. I'm going to turn this off. And let's check on our mushrooms here. They've been in the oven for a few minutes now at 350 degrees. Should be getting nice and soft. Okay, perfect. So you can see that they're just starting to get a little bit tender here. That's exactly what we want for them. And the wine's just sitting in there making them extra flavorful. So once your mushrooms are nice and soft, you're going to take them out. We're actually going to drain the wine off of them. So I'm going to grab a spoon and do that. This will be hot, so let me grab a mitt here also. Okay. So we're going to take our mushrooms out and just drain most of the wine off of them. Make them really easy and nice to work with. They still have that flavor embedded in them at this point. And I'm just going to drain my wine. You can recook with this if you want to save it, but we didn't use a lot. And then I'm going to take my mushrooms and put them back in our pan here. Getting those ready to go. Alright. So we got our beautiful mushrooms. They're nice and tender at this point. They have that nice rich wine flavor in the mix with them. And now we're going to take our filling that we made, and I'm going to just stuff that filling right back into the mushroom. So starting to get that really nice caramelized sauté action in there as well. And so I can hold one of these up so you can see. I'm just taking a little spoon of the filling and spooning it right into those mushroom caps like so. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you have logged on. What are some of your favorite ways to work with mushrooms? Do you have recipes that you love? Let us know. It's always fun to share recipes too. Family recipes can be great. These mushrooms have come to many different parties with me throughout the years and are always a popular item. So I'm just filling all the caps, getting those all stuffed up with this delicious caramelized onion and garlic filling that we just made. And like I said, one of the things that I love about this dish is that it's so easy to make. We've only been live and line together for a few minutes here, and we're halfway through our dish prep. So it's really nice to have simple, easy to make options to take with you to events that are healthy too. Okay, so now I'm going to hold this up. You'll be able to see that we have our mushrooms all stuffed. They have their beautiful filling in them, ready to go. Now I'm going to take that cheese, that beautiful raw cheddar cheese that we cut, and I'm just going to lay it right on top of our mushroom tops. Get them set up. This is going to add a nice cap over the top as it melts down in the oven. And that's going to hold everything together and just taste super delicious as well. So I'm just cutting that into small pieces like so. And then I'm just going to lay that right on top of our mushrooms, like this. And just put all those in that same tray that we started with. The other nice thing about this is it's very minimal cleanup. You have a cutting board, and then you have your mushrooms all in this one single dish. So when you're done, you can just wash that dish out and you're good to go. I know for myself, especially when I come home from a long day at work, that it's really, really nice to have quick, simple dishes that are filling, savory, satisfying, just fun to have. We just had a comment saying that one of the favorite ways to prepare mushrooms is just sauteed with butter to accompany a nice pasture-raised steak. That sounds amazing. Next time we'll have to make a steak. I would love a steak right now, and these mushrooms would be delicious on that too. So now that we have our mushrooms ready to go, you can see that we have our little mushroom caps. They're stuffed with our filling, and now they have some raw cheddar cheese on top of them. We're going to pop these back in the oven for just a few more minutes. We started at 350, but I'm actually going to bump this up to 400 now because our filling's already cooked. So really we're just working to get this cheese melted on top of these babies. And in the meantime, as those cook through, I'm going to take a few more questions. I got a comment, "This looks amazing. Thank you for sharing this with us. My grandpa used to make stuffed mushrooms, and this wants to make to revisit them." Yeah, isn't that so fun? I love food. I love having good foods that remind us of special moments. I know for myself, whenever I make blueberry pancakes, I'm right back in my grandma's kitchen in the mountains in Connecticut. It's so cool. I feel like the same thing happens with different smells and flavors sometimes, too. You know, I always think about trips that I've taken and times that I've traveled. And whenever I eat dishes that taste like those places, I can just remember exactly what I was feeling and experiencing there. So, love that. Thanks for sharing that, Stephanie. And this is a good time. If anybody else has questions, feel free to ask. I'm excited to be sharing information with you all about natural foods, why natural foods are important, and also bringing some creative ways to cook with natural foods so you can expand your repertoire, have simple, healthy options to work with, and just really enjoy the process too. I think that it's so much fun to have natural foods, to be able to taste them, to taste the abundance of Mother Earth, to taste the different flavors of different regions and different seasons and really incorporate those. And then another question, does this work with other types of mushrooms? Some reason I want to try a portobello. Yummy. Absolutely, you could take a big portobello and stuff it all the way through. And that's from Rebecca. And if you have friends that also like to follow a plant-based diet, you could always saute the garlic and onions in coconut oil is a great choice, or avocado oil is a great choice. Those are both fats that are stable at high heats and super delicious, so you can always swap out your oils depending on your eating preferences. And if you don't want to use cheese, you could omit it, or if you are dairy-free, you could use a vegan cheese or other options. So lots of ways to modify this dish to meet your needs, and you're still going to get that delicious, savory taste on here. So great questions. Thank you. Any other questions while we have our cheese melting away in the oven here? Okay, well, I can tell you a little bit more then about, why I'm here and why I'm so inspired to cook for you and with you, especially using natural foods. Through my own journey with health, it's certainly been wonderful to have good options that make me feel nurtured and whole. And I recognize through the various things that we eat that it really has a strong effect on our health. So I believe that good nutrition is the foundation of good health, and that we have the power when eating foods that are right for our bodies to really be aligned in our wholeness, and to really have the opportunity to access health and well-being. So, you know, every day, if we eat 3 meals a day, or sometimes even more with snacks, we have this amazing opportunity to really nurture and nourish ourselves. And natural foods especially have the power to do that. So looking for options that are organic or cleanly sourced or grown by local farmers, like everyone at Bella Vista, right? So they have this real fantastic attention to working with the land, working with the environment, doing it in a healthy, natural way, steering clear of pesticides and GMO crops. There's so many ways that we can vote with our dollars and make powerful decisions, and also support our local growers, supporting our local farms, you know, investing in their products and saying, these are things that we believe in, these are things that we align with. I think now more than ever, the way that we choose to spend our dollars, especially as it relates to food, can just have an amazing, wonderful impact on our health. So thank you for being here with me. Thank you for your interest in natural foods. Thank you for your interest in getting to cook with natural foods. It's a lot of fun to share these things together here. So let's check on our mushrooms. I'm starting to smell them. They smell amazing. Let's see how our cheese is doing. Perfect. This is exactly what we want. So now you can see that our mushrooms have their beautiful melted cheese on top. It's starting to get nice and caramelized. These are going to be really hot, so I'm going to give them a few minutes, but I promise you that they're delicious, they're fantastic, and we did this in 15 minutes or less. So how easy was that? This is the stuff that I love, right? Simple, healthy dishes that are easy to make, that you can take with you on the road. Great stuff. All right, so does anybody have any more questions before we finish our dish? I'll grab one of those in just a minute to show you the final product. I wish you could smell it. It smells just like buttery caramelized onions and garlic and mushrooms, like you would imagine it. Like we were saying before, great on top of a steak. Good options in that respect as well. So hi Alia, nice to see you on here. Thanks for joining us tonight. Glad to see so many friendly faces. Those look great. Thank you. They are great. I can't wait for you all to make them at home so you can taste them too. What a great option. Okay. Any questions as well? I'm trying to think what else I should tell you. On the topic of eating to take care of your body, what kind of foods are good for healthy skin? Great question. So foods that are good for healthy skin are foods that are high in healthy fats. So our skin is repaired by fat in our diet, so those are the things that we want to focus on. You could eat avocados, would be great for healthy skin. Coconut oil is great for healthy skin if you're going to cook with it or adding it on top of things. You can use also, if you do eat animal products, broth made from bones, which are very rich in collagen, is fantastic. So bone broth is kind of an up-and-coming food, although it's a food that's been around for a long time, also called stock in many occasions. And what's great about stock made from bones is that you can also use the whole animal, right? So let's say you roast a chicken, something that's really quick and easy to do, and you can take that chicken after you've eaten it and put the whole carcass of it in your slow cooker or in a pot on the stove, add some herbs, maybe add some onion if you like in there, and just let it cook with water for between 12 and 24 hours. And as it's cooking, it's going to pull out all of the amazing nutrients and collagen from those bones, and then you can drink it straight. A lot of people like it just in the morning, like a cup of tea. It's filled with healthy fats, healthy proteins, that are one of the best foods for healthy skin. It just can make your skin, it's full of collagen, and collagen is this molecule that really helps to rebuild our skin. So it's great for smooth skin, it's great for decreasing signs of aging, great for hair, skin, nails, all of those things. So really powerful food in bone broth. But again, if you're not a big fan of animal fats or proteins, you can also work with healthy fats like avocados, coconut oil, other things like that, and get some great skin support and health as well. Any other questions? I'll be on here for a few more minutes. People have some likes. Thank you for those. Always good to have the support. I appreciate that. You're welcome, Joyce. Glad to have you here with us tonight. I'm so glad to be here. And then one of the things that I'll say too regarding cooking with fats, like we talked about before, you really want to be sourcing clean fats, so fats that are coming from places where hopefully they're traceable. You know, a lot of our fats are coming from corn, and soybeans and other vegetable oils. And the problem with that is that they're being extracted, so heavily processed to get those oils first and foremost from our vegetables. And then second, once you start to cook with them, they change form. So they can start to plasticize and be really difficult for the body to process. So a lot of times if you're seeing visceral fat stores on the body, it's because we're eating too many fats, things like fried foods, that are really hard for our bodies to process. So whenever you can, use butter or coconut oil or fats that are coming from natural sources. Avocado oil is fantastic for cooking with. Lots of different good options to keep your body healthy and strong. And to bring good flavor too. Fat is a carrier of flavor, so when we cook with fats, it's really nice to have those to amplify the flavors. So when you cook your onions and garlic in a healthy fat, you're getting all of the good nutrients from that and you're bringing forth the flavor. Yeah, someone says, Heather, thank you, yes to grass-fed butter. I love grass-fed butter. And it's so interesting because I'm using grass-fed butter here, and I'll show this to you. I don't know if you can see well on the screen, but it's very, very yellow. And a lot of times we see butter in the store that might not be grass-fed that's going to have a more white color. And that yellow color in the butter that we're used to seeing, or that is kind of the traditional butter, is coming from that grass that the cows are eating. So it's really neat to see how that is coming up. Do you ever use grapeseed oil? Is that recommended or not so much? So grapeseed oil, by name, is a seed oil. So grapeseed oil could be fine as an option for cold preparation. So if you're drizzling it on a dish after you've cooked with it, it's fine to work with it in that space. But if you're starting to heat it up, it will break down. So recommend using other oils inside of that. And then, does eating locally sourced food typically cost more than going to a regular grocery store? I would say it depends. So ways to eat locally at an affordable price point are to eat seasonally. So eat foods that you can get year-round. So, you know, I think especially in the United States, we're used to having easy access to foods year-round at our grocery stores. But if we're eating tomatoes or apples in the winter, they're going to be shipped from places far away. And often that comes with a higher price point because we're paying for the transportation as well. So that's one option, is to source locally where possible. Also, or source seasonally where possible, excuse me. The next thing is to source from your local farmers. Source from places like Bella Vista Farms that are committed to natural growing. You know, go see them on their property or go see them at farmers markets. If you can get as close to your food source as possible, you're going to cut down on the cost for transportation. You're going to cut down on the carbon footprint for transportation. And that's going to make it more affordable as well. And I would say is talk to your local farmers. The other option too is if you go to the farmer's market, you can usually get produce that might not be as beautiful but has all the same health benefits. So if you're cooking at home and the aesthetics aren't as critical, you can sometimes get produce at a reduced cost if you are using produce that maybe isn't that perfect tomato that you're going to find in your grocery store. So every time you ask your farmer and start those conversations, you're building relationships and you can support the local food system and often do it on a budget as well, which is great. And then I had a question, what fats are okay at high temperatures? So fats that are okay at high temperatures are fats that are coming from animals, so ghee, lard, butter, those sorts of fats. And then fats that are coming from vegetables that have medium chain triglycerides, which is a scientific term, but it means basically that their molecular structure is more complex, and because of that, they are harder to break down at high temperatures. So coconut oil is a great option, avocado oil is a great option, palm oil is a great option. Those are the three that are vegetable sources that are good for cooking with. Hi Austin, nice to see you on here. Glad to have you. Okay, so we have some more questions coming in. Feel free to keep asking. And in the meantime, I'm just going to show you once again, we're here together making these beautiful stuffed mushrooms tonight. You can see that the juice is running a little bit in the bottom. It's super delicious. And we had a comment from Heather. She said eating healthy food also makes them much more nutrient dense, which is true. And one of the other benefits of that is when you're eating natural healthy foods, it makes it easier for your body to absorb those nutrients, so we often end up less hungry as well, right? So if we spend our whole day snacking, we often can end up, you know, having cravings throughout the day because we're not getting our nutrient needs met. But when we really focus on those things and fulfill ourselves, then we're able to do that. And then someone says, I have a lot of food allergens. Soy is the worst. It is in most things. So true. Soy gets tagged and posted in a lot of different stuff. So it's really a good idea to cook at home when you can. That's why I love having dishes like this that are really easy to make, they're satisfying, they're rich, they're nourishing, and then you can steer clear of those additives that can be really hard to trace sometimes. They're often added to a number of things, so great to have good choices, great to be working with natural foods, definitely. And soy also is typically a GMO crop, which means that it has been genetically engineered, and oftentimes that makes them so you can spray a lot more pesticides and herbicides on them because the plant itself is resistant to that. So it's easy to grow them because then they can kill all the bugs with higher pesticide doses, but it has a bigger impact on the environment, on farm workers, and also on our health when we ingest those things. And Austin says, just use coconut oil in cooking tonight. Awesome. Austin, what did you make? If you want to add the comment, I'd love to hear from you other ways to use coconut oil for healthy food options. Hopefully we hear back from him. And in the meantime, let me show you up close and personal one of these awesome little mushrooms. You saw them in the pan before, but you can see it has some nice melted cheese on there, super rich, super satisfying. It's going to be really delicious. And it's also cool because you can see that the cheese kind of tucks in our filling. So they're nice and contained, perfectly bite-sized. Really a great choice. So at 7:30, I'm just going to stand here for a few more minutes with you all. It's been really fun having you all here. And like I said before, we're going to be doing these live cooking demos every other week on Monday nights, so stay tuned. And on the off weeks, you'll also get some delicious, healthy recipes from me. So again, good ways to tune more deeply into our food system, to share together, to learn together, to have access to natural foods together. And special shout out to Bella Vista Farm LLC, located in Minden, Nevada, for having me on tonight. I'm so glad to be partnering with them, and I love their commitment to natural foods. It's really amazing what they're doing and working to be growing food year-round and providing affordable options to the community, also giving back to the local food banks. So if you're ever in Nevada, please support them. They're amazing, and I'm so glad to be here with them tonight. Okay, and then we have another question. If you use coconut oil, do you also use coconut sugar to sweeten things? So I do sometimes use coconut sugar. Coconut sugar is actually derived from coconut nectar. So it's interesting because the coconut oil is coming from the coconut meat and the fat as part of that, and the coconut sugar is coming from the nectar from the flowers. So different uses of the same plant, which is kind of cool. So similar to other processed sugars, coconut sugar is refined and then dried to be in granular form. It's easy to work with because it does have that granular shape, so it's nice to have it from that perspective. It also has a lower glycemic index than typical cane sugar or corn syrup would have, and what that means is that it has a stronger molecular structure, so when you ingest it, it doesn't spike your blood sugar levels as much as a more simple sugar like processed cane sugar or corn syrup would do. So if you're interested in healthy options, coconut sugar is a great choice. I also really like cooking with raw honey, and I also really like cooking with maple syrup. And you can sometimes find maple sugar as well, which is derived from maple syrup. So honey, maple syrup, and then coconut sugar are great options for sweeteners, especially if you're looking for a more if you're looking for a lower glycemic option, so a sugar or sweetener option that doesn't spike your blood sugar as much as some other things would be. So we have some new people on the call. Thanks for joining us, Danielle. Glad to see you here. As I was explaining, I showed people how to make some stuffed mushrooms tonight. So we had this great appetizer. We're just wrapping up. This dish was quick to make, which is one of the benefits of it. So I'll just give you guys the just join a demo. We made these great stuffed mushrooms. I will post the recipe in the comments after the call, so you can make this at home with ease. It only had a few ingredients, and we did it in less than 15 minutes. So a great healthy option using natural foods that are coming from farms like Bella Vista Farm, and just a fun way to work with foods in different ways. So I think we're just going to wrap up here. Big thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. It was really fun to share my kitchen space with you. I hope you learned something new. If you do have other questions as you're thinking about this, please feel free to post them in the comments below the video. And I'll see you all in 2 weeks on Monday night. Bye!